All right, back on the Young Turks. The cavalcade of progressive stars continue. Now joining us, Jonathan Kim from Rethink Reviews. And today we're going to review Waiting for Armageddon. I've got a lot of strong opinions on this. But first, let's watch John's review as usual, and then we'll come back and give you some amazing facts. Go.
The rapture, in my view, will happen very, very, very soon. And do I believe that I will hold a grandchild? No. No. I don't. I just don't think we have that much time left.
Things are happening around the world that lead me to believe that the end times are close. Yeah, I mean, I keep up with things going on, and I have a general idea of what can happen. And the things going on in the Middle East is a good example of that.
Everything has to do with Israel. Israel is kind of God's timepiece, his clock. But I don't believe that Travis will graduate. I do not believe that, John will ever reach an age to drive a car.
What if you met someone who said the end of the world would be the awesomest thing ever, with billions of people dying and dozens of Katrina and Haiti-sized natural disasters every day, and this person hoped and prayed it would happen soon? You'd probably want to get them into a Huggy jacket and put them in a nice soft room full of relaxing pills. Now imagine there were 50 million of these people in the U.S. with massive lobbying power, and you'd have the evangelicals, a fundamentalist Christian sect that believes the Bible prophesizes this apocalypse, and that all signs show that it could happen at any moment. Don't believe me? Then I guess you haven't seen the terrifying, powerful documentary Waiting for Armageddon, or as I like to call it, Jesus Camp for Grown-Ups. Like Jesus Camp, Waiting for Armageddon does an excellent job of not taking sides and lets evangelicals speak for themselves. And as we see, they firmly believe that current events like natural disasters and increasing violence in the Middle East are proof that the end of times is near. But for this prophecy to be realized, some things need to happen first. The Jews, God's chosen people, must return to Israel, which explains why evangelicals love Israel so much and why they donate tens of millions of dollars every year to support right-wing Jewish groups, lobby the U.S. government to support Israel unconditionally, help Jews immigrate to Israel, and oppose any peace efforts between Israel and the Muslim world. Of course, when the end of times comes, all Jews who don't convert to Christianity will be killed. So it's kind of a tough love. The Temple Mount, which is in Jerusalem and controlled by Muslims, needs to be destroyed so a new temple can be built and the Antichrist can enter it and declare himself God. That's when World War III will kick off at a site in Israel actually called Armageddon. And when that day comes, devout evangelicals, living and dead, will be raptured, essentially teleported, from the earth so they can sit at God's side cheering as all the non-believers are destroyed by wars and natural disasters for 7 years, a period known as the Tribulation. With the earth cleansed, Jesus will return and create paradise on earth, an Eden before the fall where evangelicals will live without sin and wolves will be friends with bunnies and babies can safely play with poisonous snakes. I'm not making this up. Waiting for Armageddon follows a group of evangelicals to Israel where they can be rebaptized in the River of Jordan, visit the sites where the end of times will get started, and giddily hope for the destruction of all Muslims who are beyond salvation. You also see inside American evangelical culture, with conferences where you can buy end of times books, video games, and knickknacks. There are also speakers like Pastor John Hagee, who endorsed John McCain in the 2008 elections, who talks about how joyful he is that the earth will soon be destroyed and billions of perfectly nice people, like me and most of you watching this, are going to die. But hey, it's not like he said goddamn America or something. But Waiting for Armageddon forces you to confront the implications of this apocalyptic worldview, one shared by Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and dozens of congressmen. It means that evangelicals are against peace in the Middle East, not for political reasons, but in the hope that more hostilities there will spark a holy war that will engulf the entire world. That 9/11, Katrina, and the earthquake in Haiti are actually good things, like Pat Robertson says, God's punishment for the wicked and a sign that he'll soon pick up the pace. It means it doesn't matter if pollution and climate change wreck the environment, since that's what God wants to happen. And Jesus is going to clean it up anyway at the second coming. And if you try to stop any of these calamities from happening, you're interfering with God's plans. It's said that we should be tolerant of people's religious beliefs, but why should we legitimize a fundamentalist sect like the evangelicals that calls for the destruction of the planet and the horrible death of all who don't follow it? If we're going to treat fundamentalist Islam as a corrupted, unmitigated evil, shouldn't we treat evangelicism as the other side of the same coin? Like Jesus Camp, evangelicals who have seen Waiting for Armageddon actually like the movie and see it as an accurate reflection of their beliefs. If we want to avoid a self-fulfilling apocalypse, maybe we need to start seeing evangelicals the same way they see themselves. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a Rethink Review.
All right, look, I've been going on and on about this for a long time. And the problem, Jonathan, is that everybody says, oh, Jen, come on. They're not really going to do anything. They don't really believe that. They're very small. You're getting worked up over nothing, right? But now, look, 50 million is a gigantic number, right? Now, but first, it's not all 50 million that believe this, right?
Not quite. From what I found, they said that about 1/3 of Americans, 40 to 50 million evangelicals believe in this, and it's a particular school called dispensationalism.
Right. Now, 1/3 of 50 million is still a gigantic number.
Yes,
okay.
about 15-ish million.
Right. Now, how much effect do they have on policy, though?
Well, actually, the Center United for Israel, let's see, what's it called? So Christians United for Israel, which is Pastor John Hagee's organization, who endorsed McCain. They had a massive letter-writing campaign when the Annapolis talks were going on. They sent 14,500 emails and made a lot of calls, and also have a lot when CUFI, when it had its opening. Let's see, Rick Santorum was there, Sam Brownback, Tom DeLay, Ken Mellman, and actually Joe Lieberman was there and actually compared John Hagee to Moses, saying the support of Christian Zionists is critical to Israel's security and strength, and to America's security and strength. Hagee is a leader of a multitude. So it's Joe Lieberman, so you know it's mainstream.
Right. So now, when the roadmap came out, I remember some of these guys were against peace, right?
Yes.
Is that literally true?
Yeah, they're against giving even an inch of land up to the Palestinians, who they feel that have no right to be on that land. And also that they want, in the Bible, the idea is that Israel is supposed to be troubled right up until the end. So there can be no peace. They actually want more war. And what John Hagee advocates for is for Israel to attack Iran, and then basically, whether the U.S. helps or backs them up or not, and then Russia will become the leader of the Arab states, who will then wage a war on Israel, and then Europe and the U.S. is going to jump in, and that actually happens at Armageddon, which is a mountain, which is Armageddon.
All right, so we have to understand something. And when they say, oh, Muslims, we got the Muslim terrorists, and they believe in violence, and it's part of the religion, it's not just that there are some terrorists that are Muslim. It's that Islam promotes this kind of violence. I hear that all the time from the right wing.
Right.
But what we're ignoring is at least 15 million Americans who think we should have world-ending violence, and that we should have, the United States policy of the government should be to push for cataclysmic violence that nearly ends the world. Is that roughly right?
Yeah, and actually does end the world, and that also natural disasters are a part of this too. That there should be more natural disasters. Hagee said New Orleans, that was actually a good thing. That was punishment. Pat Robertson, obviously with Haiti, says no. This is God's judgment. This is supposed to happen. And in the movie, there's people say these are like birth pangs. They're like contractions. And as we get closer, there's going to be more and more of those. And that's a good thing.
Now, Pat Robertson is a certifiable lunatic, and he thinks that they had the earthquake in Haiti because they made a deal with the devil in the 1800s. It's a true story, he assures us. Okay. Now, but think about this effect. Pat Robertson has a law school, okay, Regent University Law School, right? I mean, it's the university and then there's the law school part of it. How many of those people from Regent University wound up in the government? There couldn't be any. I mean, run by this lunatic. They never made it into government, right?
Only 150 of them made it in. That was during the Bush administration.
So 150 lunatics trained by their main lunatic, Pat Robertson, who all, presumably, generally speaking, believe in this idea of let's destroy the world, made it into the Bush administration, including famous ones like Monica Goodling,
yes,
and some of the others. But John, you know why they had those people in? One, they're idiots that are used to taking orders, and they don't question. If Pat Robertson says he talked to God, they're stupid enough to believe it, okay? And number two, they're young. They don't know any better. So Karl Rove can come up and go, oh, yeah, fire the U.S. attorneys. No, don't worry about legal problems. Just fire them and put in political hacks in their place. God said so.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing God's work. You're getting rid of the impure judges who are not going to do what God wants. So, that's the dangerous thing is when you feel that what you're doing is God's work and being commanded by God. Who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to anybody else? Are you ever going to compromise for a second?
All right, now tell me how the red cow gets involved in all this nonsense. Why the red cow? What is that? What's going on?
Okay, apparently in the book of Numbers, there's a mention that that for the Messiah to come, you need to make an offering of a perfectly red cow that has no other colored hairs. Even 2 other colored hairs are too many. And apparently there hasn't been a red cow born in Israel for about 2,000 years. But everyone is on the lookout for one. In 1997, there was a cow born that was named Melody, or it's a Jewish word for like a musical note. And David Landau of the secular Israeli newspaper Haaretz said the heifer is a 4-legged bomb. That basically people could see this as a sign that, oh, so God gave us this red cow, so He's ready for us to destroy the Dome of the Rock, to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, so that way we can rebuild the third temple, and then we can purify ourselves with the ashes of this red cow. And there's an American named Clyde Lott who raises red Angus cows. And is basically, and he went to Israel and he saw sort of what their cattle was like, and he said, well, they don't have very good breeding. They're never going to get a red cow this way. And so he has set up something he wants to send over planes with 140 heifers per load. And the first shipment was scheduled for August 1998, but I wasn't able to figure out what happened to this red cow project.
Well, yeah, let's hope, of course, that they can get that red cow so they could, spread its ashes and get the holy voodoo going on. And obviously, now look, but here's the, and I know you said they're getting clothes and stuff ready for after Armageddon. And, it reminds me of the guys that dress up as knights and they really think they're medieval kings. I mean, but at least those guys don't actually believe it. These lunatics believe it.
Right. I mean, so basically there's what's called the Temple Movement, which is right-wing Christians and hardcore right-wing Jews who are basically preparing to destroy the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and then already have trained Jewish priests be able to go in and do all of the rituals and make the sacrifices that will be needed to, so the Antichrist can come in. And actually, the Christians believe that the Antichrist is going to come in and declare himself God 3.5 years into the tribulation, which is like the World War. But they believe that the Jews think that it'll be the first coming of the Messiah, and so he'll come in. But he's going to be the Antichrist, and the Christians say, see, you guys didn't listen to us. Our guy is the real Messiah. And then 144,000 Jews are supposed to convert to Christianity. The rest will die.
Right. When you get into the details of the different teams that believe in this nonsense, it's, no, we represent the Lord of Canterbury. Right. Okay, I know, I'm sure you're right. Okay, but here's the real dangerous part. As I saw your review, and I know a lot of these facts, but some of them are new to me. As I looked at this, I thought, it's only a matter of time before they destroy the Dome of the Rock. Because it doesn't take everybody to do it. It just takes a couple of guys, right? And if they destroy the Dome of the Rock, this is going to be an enormous self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Because then, of course, the Muslims are going to be enraged. And then you're going to have war, and then you're going to go, see? No, not see. You genetically bred a stupid red cow, transported it into Israel, right? And you blew up the thing yourself. There's no see, okay? You started the dumbass war. And, the thing that drives me crazy, as I said before, is on top of all this planned grotesque violence, Muslims are the violent ones. They're planning to blow up the Muslim mosque, but the Muslims are the violent ones.
Right.
And then after you blow up their mosque, when they react, they're like, see, they're so violent.
Right. No, I mean, there's a woman in the movie, in kind of a young couple. She's like, there'll be rivers of blood as high as a horse's bridle, and like we're going to be God's army. We're going to be carrying swords, things like that. And this is considered normal. I don't see why this isn't considered a doomsday cult. Why it's not like Heaven's Gate.
It is. It's just our politicians are scared. They're incredibly weak and generally pathetic, right? So, when you see lunacy, you have to say this is lunacy. You can't, but they're like, oh my God, evangelicals, Christians, oh, I'm so scared, oh, right? And that's the Democrats, of course. The Republicans love it. They're like, where do I sign up? Violence? World War? I'm in. I'm staying.
Well, that's the thing. It's that mixing of the biblical prophecy as well as just neocon, hey, let's take over the Middle East and get all the oil. It all kind of goes together, except for basically these Bible prophecy people say, oh, no, but that'll only just be the start. Middle East war, that's only where it begins. It'll get bigger from there till everyone except for us is dead. And we're going to be watching from the clouds, cheering.
All right, now, finally, I just want to make absolutely clear. This is obviously not all the Christians in the country. It's not even all the evangelicals. It's a third of the evangelicals known as these dispensationalists, right? Now, having said that, there are some bad percentages as to how many people believe in Armageddon in the country and some of the other numbers that are very, very frightening. So give us that to conclude on this.
36% of all Americans believe that the Bible is God's word and should be taken literally. 59% say they believe that events predicted in the book of Revelation will come to pass. Almost 1 out of 4 Americans believe that 9/11 was predicted in the Bible. And 1 in 5 believe that he or she will live long enough to see the end of the world.
Yeah, those people are wrong. And that lady in the beginning, you know, I love the lady's like, oh no, grandchildren, not going to happen. I mean, it's around the corner, right?
Right.
I saw the red cow.
Well,
okay.
Also, I think it's crazy is, that they say that the Bible predicts all these things, but the Bible never says, you know what, you should maybe wash your hands before you eat. You won't get sick. Or maybe you should boil your water. Or, hey, this internet thing is coming soon. None of that is in there. There's so many things that are not predicted in the Bible, yet they grab onto these few little things that are the most violent imagery you could imagine.
Yeah, and because they're looking for that. And so, and then the guy says, oh, I read. I'm up on current events, so it's obvious that Armageddon's coming. Look, the 59% number is the one that scares me. They think that the Armageddon's going to happen like it says in the Bible. Now, luckily, it's not all 59% who act on it or who actively encourage it. Okay, again, I want to be clear on that. But 15 million Americans is a very, very large number. And what's even scarier is how they intimidate mainstream politicians into going along with their nonsense. So it's Waiting for Armageddon, great movie, right?
It's very powerful, very good.
And it's important that you get educated on this so you know how to fight back with reason, logic, truth, facts, etc. Okay? So everybody check out Rethink Reviews, Huffington Post, YouTube.
And rethinkreviews.net.
And rethinkreviews.net. Jonathan Kim, as always, great pleasure.